When we left Iyov, this man who was a perfect, blameless, perfect person has suffered. His 10 children killed, all his wealth is gone. And yet, at the end of the first chapter, he still does not curse God. He says, Hashem natan v'Hashem lakach Shem Hashem mevarach. God gave and God took away. I came into this world nude. I'll leave this world nude and empty. And he doesn't go and curse God, proving that God, when God says to the prosecutor, the Satan, have you seen my Iyov? There is nobody like him. And that's where chapter 2 then continues. Vayihi hayom. Another day, right? That was the first day. The first one was the day when all the disaster happened. Vayavo b'nei Elohim li'tyatzef al Adonai. Vayavo gam hasatan b'tocham li'tyatzef al Adonai. And all the angels presented themselves in front of God, including this Satan, this adversary, this prosecutor. Vayomer Adonai el Satan, ei mizeh tavo. And God once again asked the Satan, where did you come from? Vayana Satan et Adonai, vayomer, mi shoot ba'aretz u'mithalech ba. I was roaming all over the earth. I'm looking for the people. I'm looking for people who I can punish. Vayomer Adonai el Satan, hasamta libcha el abdi Iyov, ki ein kamo ba'aretz, ishtam v'yashar yirei Elohim v'sar merav, odenu machazik b'tumato v'tisiteni vo livlo achanam. And God said, rhetorically, or might not know if that's the exact word, maybe ironically, have you noticed by any chance my servant Iyov? There's no one like him on earth. He's blameless, he's upright, he fears God, he doesn't like evil, and even after you incited me against him, he still keeps to his integrity. He still said, Hashem lakach, Hashem natan, Hashem lakach, Yishem Hashem mevorach, vayana Satan et Adonai vayomar, or ba'ad or, so what does what does Satan say back? Skin for skin. All that a man has, he will give up for his life. Right? Meaning he still has his skin. He still has his life. He'll give up everything, but he's still alive. So of course he's not going and attacking you. He's not cursing you, God. But lay a hand on his bones and his flesh, and he'll surely blaspheme you to your face. I don't know if I agree with this argument. Somebody loses all their children. Somebody has those horrors. I could see, is it worse to get some sort of disease than having those things happen? I don't know. So God says, he's yours. Just don't kill him. You need to keep him. You need to spare his life. And in verse 7, Vayetzei Satan meit pnei Adonai vayach et Iyov b'shchinra mikafrad raglo vi'ad kadkano. So the Satan goes down, departs from God, and all of a sudden Iyov is covered in some sort of inflammation, some sort of boils, whatever it is, some skin lesions from the sole of his feet to the crown of his head. Vayikach lo cheres litgarer bo v'hu yoshev b'toch ha'efer. He took a potsherd to scratch himself as he sat in ashes. He's in mourning and he's in ashes. He's no longer this wealthy man with his beautiful family where everybody gets along. He's sitting in ashes. Vatomer lo ishto. And his wife turns to him and she says, Odcha machazik betumatecha. Barech Elohim vamut. His wife turns to him and says, why are you still so tam? Why are you still so pure? Why are you still so, what's with your integrity? And again, we've had this now the third time. The word barech is a euphemism. She says, curse God and die. Look what's happened. Enough. Why are you remaining this way? Vayomer Eleh, in verse 10, he says to her, Kedaber achata nivalot tidabri gam et hatov nekabel meit Elohim ve'et hara lo nekabel. B'chol lo chata Iyov bisfatav. And what did he turn to her? He said, you talk as any shameless woman might talk, or shameless man. Should we accept only the good from God and not also accept from evil? Iyov did and said nothing sinful. Here it says, bisfatav, in his lips. He may have thought a little bit about it, but he didn't say anything. He may have finally, given in theory, but he didn't vocalize it. And so here, Iyov, even after his covered in boils, he's covered in whatever it might be, pain from head to his toes, suffering, he accepts what God has done as the ruler of this world. Continuing verse 11, Vayishmu shloshat re'ei Iyov et kol hara zot haba alav vayavo ish mimkomo Eliphaz ha'te'emani uvildad hashuchi v'tzofar ha'na'amati vayiva'adu yachtav lavo lanud lo ulenachamo. Iyov has three very good friends. And when his three friends hear about all of the horrors that came to him, his friends Eliphaz, Bildad, and Sophar, they come and to console him and to comfort him. Vayisu et einehem merachok v'lo hikiruhu. Vayisu kolam vayivku. Vayikru ish mi'ilo vayizruku afar rosheim hashamayma. And when they saw him, they couldn't recognize him, right? They couldn't recognize him. And they start crying, and they tear their clothing, and they throw dust into the air. They throw dust. That was the custom, is throwing dust, according to some of the commentary. Signs clearly of mourning as to the horrors that have befallen their friend. His entire being is different, right? He's no longer the same person that he was. Vayishvu ito la'aret shivat yamim v'shivat leilot v'ein dover elav davar ki ra'u ki gadol ha'ke'ev ma'od. They sat with him on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights. Nobody spoke a word to him because they saw how terrible was his suffering. They saw how terrible, what a horror it was, what a devastation had befallen him. Every aspect of his life that seemed great has gone. And they see him as a different person, lo hikiruhu. They don't recognize him. And here we see friends who are great friends. They come from afar. They are just sit there silently. They understand his pain and his mourning, even though they can't fully understand it. And they just sit there just to sit with him. They don't open their mouths. And we think about Shiva, we think about halachot, right? Tearing your garments and ashes and not saying something to the mourner, waiting until the mourner says something to you before you open your mouth. We see all of these ideas here in this book from his friends. And so at first, right now, his friends are wonderful friends. They are the people that will be there for you, much like we had in the last book of Mishlei that said that a great friend is better than a distant brother, even though these friends seem like they're from distant, they're from faraway lands. But we see people here, and it's a tremendous thing to think also. You know, a lot of people are friends with people when they're popular, when they're wealthy, etc., etc. These three are genuine friends. They heard about all of the deaths. They heard about Iyov, their rich friend who can pay for dinner, no longer has anything. Do they abandon him? No. They go and they sit and they attempt to offer him at least a little bit of comfort at a time where he feels seemingly just disaster in his life and all alone, and his entire being has changed. So at this point in the book, we can look and we can say that these are three wonderful friends who have come to him and certainly understand. They show empathy and they show how to act as true friends.